This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll have a quick recap of what we have done in the previous sessions, and we'll go ahead with the next things. So what we have discussed in the previous session is about the data warehousing concept. What exactly is the concept of the data warehouse is what we've discussed. We discussed about the data warehousing, and the one concept that we have which SAP started off is with the ERP concept. ERP is completely a different concept. We get the data from various source systems and we consolidate the data into data warehousing. So ERP concept is basically to consolidate all modules. So all modules. So we have the concept in ERP. We get the data into one single system from all modules. Okay, so we have various modules. So for example, you have, I'll quickly have this ERP concept because most of us already are aware of the ERP concept. So I'll just give you a quick review of ERP concept, and then we'll go to data warehousing, and then we have to discuss about the ETL process. The extraction, transformation, loading process is what we will quickly discuss. Extraction, transformation, and loading. Extraction, transformation, and loading. So these are the three things that we have, which we need to discuss about that thing. So before that, we have this ERP concept. Give me a second. So we'll just discuss in a quick overview. We'll just discuss about what are the topics that we have. I mean, like the ERP concept. I'll just give you a quick review of the ERP concept, then we'll go ahead with the SAP concept. So first, we need to understand about the ERP. What is the full form of ERP and all these things? One second, I'll be sharing the screen. So let me tell you that the concept that I'm telling you, yeah. So the concept which I'm telling you right now, most of us already know this, but this is extremely important. So that's the reason I'm revising it once again, that there is a concept of ERP which was actually started by SAP's founders in 1972. When they started this ERP concept, it was founded by the SAP company. So prior to that, ERP was not there before this 1972. So what was the basic concept is like any software which is used for planning the resources of an enterprise is called an ERP software, which we all know. So it should be able to handle all the resources of a company. So in this, like, we have a lot of departments. In this, all the departments will be taken care by different all the different departments will take care of different resources. So in this, like, if each department is taking care of, each department is is being taken care by different softwares, then what will happen is, like, it will be like basically, if you have this kind of scenario wherein, like, we have different softwares being used for different departments, in this issue, what happens is there will not be any integration. If HR department enters some data, that data will not be available to other departments. So this is like the integration of different departments will be missing. So for this, what we do is we have gone for a scenario. Okay, let's take a scenario in which a customer is contacting the customer service department. Then what will happen is the customer service department in turn will have to contact the other departments to get back to the customer with the actual information. So just to give a proper information to the customer, there is so much of interaction between the departments that has to happen. So for this reason, it's very important. Okay, so what we conclude from this is, it's very important to have integration between the departments, because just to give a proper answer to the customer, we need to interact with so many customers, so many departments. But if you have to do a lot of, I mean, like, there are many things in which there is integration required between the departments. So once upon a time, 2 decades or 3 decades back, because there was no integration between the departments, it used to take a lot of time to process anything. And like, if there is an invoice, to clear the invoice, it used to take more than a month. So something like that, this time lags used to happen. But today, no customer is ready to wait for a longer time, because the faster service, the better the business. So for that, we have, SAP has come up with a single software on which all the department will work, single software, and we'll have single database and single operating system. So this is what we have. So single software, single database, single operating system. So all the departments are working on a single software, single database, single operating system. So in this, like, we have ERP, resource planning, so an expanded effort to integrate marketing, financial, manufacturing, human resources in a single form information system. So we have a standardized record keeping, permits information sharing throughout the organization. So ERP system includes single integrated software program and single database. So these are all the things that we have about the ERP. We can Google it. Like, basically, we need to go ahead and Google more about ERP. What exactly is it? Basically, as of now, I just want to give you a basic idea that ERP is also a concept. So before starting this ETL concept, I just want to make one thing clear, that ERP is a concept, just like data warehousing is a concept. Data warehousing is also a concept. Now here we have, this is a concept. This is a concept. And in this, like, just like we have a car is a concept. Just like car is a concept, ERP and data warehousing is also a concept. Now the company, and then we have this version. Now here we have department, company is something like SAP. Now here also we have this SAP. So here, let's say we have this BMW. I'm just giving an example of general example of car, so that we can understand everything. So here we have this something like ECC 6.0, and this is something like the SAP's version of this data warehousing is BW 7.5. So the latest one, and BMW is something like X7. X7 is a series, right? So car. So basically, you can say that X7 is a car. BMW is not a car. BMW is a company. But when we refer to the car, we always say it as a BMW car. Similarly, we always call it as SAP software. So this is something which we have. So this is the general overview. Data warehousing is a concept on which SAP has come up with BW 7.5. Just like we have ERP concept on which SAP has come up with EC 6.0. Now, what is that you have to Google is today? What is ERP? What is data warehousing? And what is ECC? What is BW 7.5? There are a lot of versions before this ECC 6.0 has been launched. ECC 6.0 is a very popular software that we have in the market. And after that, we have something called right now. What is being used right now is S4 HANA. So we have S4 HANA. Now in the place of this ECC, we have the latest version of it called S4 HANA. S4 HANA, and this S4 HANA is a next version of this ECC.
విక్రమ్ కాల్ రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నారా మీరు?
Yeah, it's getting recorded. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
BW, we have BW4HANA. So these are the latest ones. Now these are the fastest softwares, and SAP claims that these are the fastest softwares. As of now, no other company has reclaimed that no, ours is a fastest software. So today what matters is the speed with which you do any activity in a business. As I've given many examples many times, like if you have, say, something like your favorite vehicle. Okay, so you have a favorite vehicle, like you wanted to buy something like okay, let's take a scooter. Okay, so your favorite scooter is Honda Activa, and you want to purchase in Honda Activa. But here in this scenario, what happens is for Honda Activa you have to wait for 1 year, but today itself you can get a delivery of TVS Victor or something like that. Now what will happen is 90% of the people who actually like a particular scooter will go for another scooter because of the fast delivery. Okay, it goes to the competitors. So what happens here is why SAP is so confident this will capture the entire market is because of its speed, the speed with which it takes the decisions, the speed with which we do the processing of the of the data. Now SAP is the first company ever to actually integrate OLTP and OLAP. So this is something which we need to Google. Okay, I mean, like you can get these concepts right, because it will take time for me to discuss. So if the majority of the members are you want me to explain that, I'll be explaining you very slowly, and I'll make you understand this OLTP and OLAP. Since this all that we have done discussed till now is just a kind of a background kind of a thing, so I just told it a bit fast. Now let's move on to the ETL process: extraction, transformation, loading, and loading. Okay, so the assignments are going ahead and understanding the concept of ERP, understanding the concept of data warehousing, and the versions that we have in SAP ERP, and the versions in data warehousing. These are the things that we have to go through. And yesterday we also discussed the theoretical concept of what is data warehousing, what is the significance of data warehousing and all. And anyways who have missed it, like I'll later get in touch with you and send the mail to you, the recorded link, I'll send it to you. Now here we have the ETL process: extraction, transformation, and loading. Now we have this extraction. What do we mean by extraction? Getting the data from some external systems to our BW system. Then we have the transformation. Transformation is all about the mapping. And then we have the loading. So extraction, we do it from SAP applications and non-SAP applications. In SAP applications, we get it from ECC server. We have CRM server, and we have something like APO. So these are the different softwares that we have: advanced planning and optimization, CRM, ECC. So when we talk about the extraction, transformation, loading from the BW perspective, I mean SAP BW perspective, from SAP BW perspective, then we segregate them as SAP and non-SAP applications. But when it comes to any other ETL process, for example, there might be some Informatica or data stage or any other data warehousing tool, because any company in the world will be in need of some data warehousing tool, Informatica or data stage or any other data warehousing tool. So in that, we will not segregate them as SAP and non-SAP applications. We segregate them as various source systems. That's it. Now here we're talking about a couple of source systems like ECC, CRM, and all these things. So we have this non-SAP systems. We have data from .txt, .csv, or flat files. You can say flat files, or some third-party tools, or from any of the databases. So we directly try to connect the database and get the data from there. Now, when we are getting this, the data will be either from SAP or non-SAP applications. And here, the transformation that we'll be doing the mapping here. Mapping. So mapping, what do we mean by mapping is, let's say we have in the source system, let me come here. So in the source system, we have employee number. This is a field. Okay. So we have a table, and in the source system. Okay. So let's say we have the source system in ECC, and we have a table, and that table is employee data table, in which there is a specific field called employee number. And this employee number will be is mapped to direct mapping. Direct mapping, we are doing it to the employee EMP NO, employee number, EMP NUM. So what do we have here is, if let's say we have 1000 here, the same 1000 is been mapped to the target system as well. The source system also we have 1000, and the same thing will be uploaded. The employee number is same, either in the source system or the target system, the same. Now let's say there is another field called, say something like say salary. Now for salary, let's say we have in the source system, we have the salary in rupees, and we wanted to convert that into salary in dollars. Okay, so we have the salary in rupees and we have the salary in dollars. One second. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so we have the source system, we have rupees, and in the target system we need to upload the data into dollars, because let's say we are getting the data from, assume that we are getting the data from 14 different countries, and we want to get this all data into one particular system, into the BW system. So then we have this formula, we write the formula. Okay, what exactly happens in a formula is, like we get this we convert the data. Okay, let's say we have the rupees, say rupees. Okay, so salary in rupees, okay, divided by some x amount, whatever is the variant that we have, is equal to the dollars. This x is a variable. So rupees salary divided by something is equals to dollar. So this formula we are going to write in the mapping. Okay, so we have one kind of mapping is direct mapping, another kind of mapping is the formula, another kind of mapping is constant. Now let's say we have taken a scenario wherein we are uploading the data, or we are consolidating the data from 14 different countries operations into a single data warehousing system. Then what happens? But first, there is a particular cube into which we are loading all the data only from India. Okay, this is only India data. But in the source system, we don't have any field called country. Okay, we don't have any field called country in the source system. We don't have any field called country. We just have till state we have, because till now the entire system was only for India, so they didn't feel that a country needs to be mentioned. Because see, if I'm telling an address, if I'm in Hyderabad, and if I'm telling address to someone in Hyderabad only. I'll not tell them that it is a part of India, because we are both are in India, so there is no need to mention India. But when it comes to global, I have to mention that. So what we do is we don't have anything in the source, but when we are uploading, we just give the constant as India for the country, and in that all the country entire for all the records, the country will be uploaded by default as India. The country by default will be uploaded as India. This is what can happen in a constant. Okay, so constant, we have this a specific value will be given, and that value will be uploaded for all the records. We are going to see this when we are doing the projects ahead. So constant, and then we have the routines. Let's say even in the system going forward, we don't even have the state. We don't even have the state in the source system, but there is city. Based on the city, we need to find out the state, and then we need to upload it in the system. Okay, so we have this routine. So in the routines part, we have the city, and basically in the system we have the city, and from the system we are deriving the state. How are we deriving the status? If let's say city is equals to some HYD, and if so, we can have a lot of conditions for all the cities. We can have the condition state is equals to Telangana. So in this way, we are actually finding out. This is a logic. We're writing a logic. This is a simple logic. Maybe we have a complicated logic as well. We can do that, or something like maybe if we have the tax computation. In tax computation, what happens for different slabs? We have different taxes, right? So for that also we can implement the routines part. So this is something which we are talking about, the routines, and these are the different types of mapping that we have. So in the mapping, we'll have direct mapping. Second, we have this formula. Third, we have constant. Fourth, we have routine. So we have this different types of mapping is what we have it in the transformation. And the loading, in the loading we can do the loading in the master data. So there will be three types of data actually. One is the master data. This is a part of loading, master data. Then we have transactional data. We have master data. So what is master data? What is transaction data? Is very common for all the softwares. No matter which software we are working with, there is in general there is master data and transaction data. So I'll explain you with one example what is master data, what is transaction data, and then we'll go ahead with the metadata. So master data and transaction data. Now here, what is transaction data? What is master data? I'll just take an example of NASDAQ or NASCOM. Okay, in NASCOM, what happens is there will be stocks. Each stock will have a particular price, a particular market price. So for every company, every organization will have a market price. Now, if you have a list of some 1,000 companies or 1,000 enterprises, so this 1,000 companies list of all the 1,000 companies can be considered as master data. But every day, every hour, every minute, every second, the data, the share price will keep changing. That is called transactional data. So transactional data keeps changing every second, every minute, every hour. But master data is something which will be constant, comparatively constant, relatively constant. There's nothing like master data will not change. Yes, master data will change, but master data will change rarely, but transactional data changes regularly on a regular basis. This is what we can have. So constant. Okay, now these are the two different types of data that we have. Now constant. Now here we have another type of data is metadata. Metadata is something like data related to data. Now, what is metadata? I'll give you an example of metadata. The contents of a book. The contents of a book. See, if you open a book, in the starting page, what you have is there will be a page in which page number 1 what we have. I mean, like chapter 1 starts from page number 1 to page number 10. Chapter 2 starts from page number 11 to 20. So those details are given in the contents of a book. So that contents can be considered as one of the metadata. Now, in SAP, in most of the softwares, metadata is generated by the system. Now, if you create something in the system, who created it, when it was created, and what are the features of it, all these things will be auto-generated by the metadata. They all will be auto-generated by the metadata. This is what we have. So we have this master data, transaction data, and metadata. Now, these are the things that we have. Now, non-SAP, okay. So we have this SAP, we have extraction, transformation, loading, we have source systems, we have transformations, we have loading, and then we have something like the reporting system. So for reporting, what exactly is reporting all about? Now, reporting is something in which we have consolidated data from various source systems. Okay, see, no matter how much we try, each enterprise or each organization will have data in multiple systems. Some data might be stored in Excel sheets, some data might be stored in HTML format, some data might be stored in a SAP database, some data might be stored in Java database. So Java means, in the sense, when Java software is basically, let us assume that Java is based on Oracle database. Now we have to get the data from Oracle database directly. That's what we do here. So we patch up with the database and then we get the data. So all consolidating all this data, we are going to bring it into one system, that is data warehousing system. Okay, data warehousing system, we consolidate all this data and load it in one place. Now, why do we load this data? For future analysis and reporting purpose, so that the managers or the decision makers can see the data and analyze the data and process next what we have to do. Okay, so this is what we have. So basically, this is what we do. In the reporting, we have, in reporting from the SAP perspective, okay, for every data warehousing tool we have some reporting or some other reporting tool, but here from the SAP perspective, we have BO, business objects, which is very popular data warehousing, which is a very popular reporting tool that we have. Prior to this, we had WAD, web application designer. Prior to this, we had BEX, business explorer. So these are the different reporting tools that we have, which are related to it. And in fact, SAP right now, the latest version of SAP also supports us to generate the reports in some latest versions of it also. Like QuickView is there, and in a lot of other softwares are there in which we can get the data. So we have this reporting. So we have extraction, transformation, loading. We have reporting, and then we have the ODS, the Open Hub services. Open Up services. So Open Up services is a concept of reverse process of what we have done. So basically, to load the data in data warehousing, we'll have something called cubes. So we have the data in cubes. This data which is there in the cubes, if it has to be downloaded into something like Excel sheet or into something, okay, you have the data in the cubes, you download the data into Excel sheets. So to download it into something out of BW is Open Up services. This is normally the reverse process of what we do on a regular basis. So we always get the data consolidated from various source systems to BW, but Open Up services is the only place where we do the reverse processing. So there might be some requirement wherein, like, they want to get the data into some other tools. In that case, we have to go ahead with the data. We have to go for the Open Up services. Open Up services is a concept in which we have to load the data. We have to we basically get the data from BW system to some other systems, and let's say, for example, there was a requirement in TCS wherein like the client didn't like, somehow they didn't feel comfortable with watching the data in the BO reporting tool. They already had a reporting tool and they wanted to just go ahead and get this data into that reporting tool. Basically, the managers are accustomed to that UI. UI means the user interface. We basically call it as UI, user interface, means the screen which you see on the on your monitor. So that is a user interface. So the managers were very much comfortable with the previous user interface and they didn't want to disturb, the client didn't want to disturb that user interface. They just wanted to change the backend. So they have changed everything into BW, and then the reporting was still on the same reporting tool. So we just have to load the data from BW to that particular system. So we had to download data into BW to some other systems. This is what we have. Okay, so this is what we have in the open up services. Now we have this reporting tool. So we have the extraction transformation loading. In loading, we can have the data loaded into master data, transaction data. We will never load metadata. Remember, at least from the SAP perspective, we'll never load it. In 90% of the data warehousing solutions, the same case. And master data and transaction data is something which we load, and we will decide which data has to go into master data, which data has to go into transaction data. So these two topics also you can just browse and get more information about that master data and transaction data. And now here we have the reporting tools, and then we have the open up destinations. So this is called the architecture, BW architecture, and we have some advanced features in this that we could discuss later. So this is called data warehousing architecture. Data warehousing architecture. Okay, so let us understand this concept from the more clearly. So I repeat, we discussed about ETL process, extraction, transformation, loading. It's a global concept, global architecture for every data warehousing solution in the world. Okay, the terminology internally might be different. As I told you, here in SAP we are segregating the extractions, the source systems as SAP, non-SAP. But when it comes to Informatica, nothing is different. Like they don't segregate based on SAP, right? So in mapping also there might be some less features, more features, something like that. But the loading will always be done in the master data, transaction data, and metadata. Okay, this is what we have now. Yeah, so let's move on to this data. If you want me to explain anything, please ping me in the chat box so that I can repeat that. If you have any doubts in this, like I'll just recap those things, and then I'm fine with repeating any concept. Okay, so let's again understand the BI from the architecture level. OLTP versus OLAP also you can just get more details. So we already discussed about the data warehousing definition. Yeah, this is the architecture. So we have this BW architecture in which we have okay, so one thing that I actually missed explaining is about the administration part. Let's see what we have discussed till now. So we'll correlate those things which we have discussed till now into this particular system. So we have this as a BW architecture. In the BW architecture, we have this extraction, transformation, and loading. So in this extraction, transformation, loading, we have data coming from SAP applications and non-SAP applications. So we are getting the data from SAP applications, non-SAP applications into the system, in which we have the first thing that we get is here the PSA. That's called persistent staging area. So persistent staging area is kind of an intermediate. So basically in this ETL process, we have something called persistent staging area, which is actually a very important concept here. So basically this is a source system. So from the source system, when we get the data, we first get the data into PSA, persistent staging area. Then we load the data into the BI. Within BI only we have this PSA as well. So let's say we have a cube. Cube is where we actually load the data. So this persistent staging area just dumps the raw data. There is no validation of data, nothing. Like we just dump the data into PSA, and that from there we load the data into the cube. So here we have the data coming from SAP applications and non-SAP applications. We are getting the data from using the extraction, transformation, loading. We are loading the data. So here we have first we have the PSA, persistent staging area. So from the persistent staging area, the data either goes into DSO or into the cube. And here on the left side we have the master data. So either we get the data into master data or transaction data. So the transaction data is on the right side. The ODS and cube are the two target systems into which we can load the transaction data, but master data is loaded separately. And where from we are getting the data? We are getting the data from SAP and non-SAP applications. So the first thing that we discussed in this is the extraction. The extraction was coming from where? SAP applications or non-SAP applications. So we get the data and we have the staging area, we have the PSA, we get the data from PSA into DSO and cube or into the master data. So then we have at the end, we have the metadata repository. In the metadata repository, we automatically generate the data related to data is automatically generated in the metadata repository. And in this, like we have the open hub destinations or the open hub services from using which we can get the data out of SAP system whenever it is required. We can get it into data marts, SAP applications and non-SAP applications. So SAP applications and non-SAP applications, we already know. Data marts is another cube, which I'm going to explain you that later. So now here, this is the administration part. Let's say into the data warehousing solution, you want to load the data. Okay, so but you cannot load the data on a daily basis. Every day you cannot load the data directly. So here we have this, we schedule it and we monitor it and then we administrate. So in the scheduling, what we do is we actually uh, do a triggering kind of a mechanism, just like you schedule your alarm clock, something like that. So we schedule a job. So once we schedule a job at a particular time in a day, so every day at that particular time the job will be job will be running. So we'll be scheduling it, then we'll have the monitoring, then we have the administration part. So when we schedule it, uh, schedule it, once we schedule it, every day or every week or every month, automatically the job will run, and we basically log in into the system and monitor it, and then we do the administration part. So this is what is happens in the administrative workbench. Then we have these reporting tools. In the reporting tools, we have business explorer, third party tools, and enterprise portal. Okay, so here we have this. So now this is what we have. Yeah, sure. Formula and yeah, formula and constant again. Okay, sorry. So okay, now let's say I'll explain you the formula part and the routine part again. Okay, formula and constant. Okay, so here we have, let's say in the source system there is a field called salary. Okay, and the salary is in rupees. The salary is in rupees. Now you want to this is not source system. The source system has the data as the salary in rupees, and now you want to convert that into dollars. So if you want to convert that into dollars, then you have to write some formula there. We need to write some formula. Let's say we have taken an example that salary, which is in rupees, has to be divided by some number, and then we have to get the data in dollars. Okay, so salary, the formula in which we have the salary we are dividing by some number, and we're getting this salary in dollars. Salary in rupees, we are converting into salary in dollars by dividing with some variable. So this is one example of formula. We can write any kind of a logic, but we cannot change the formula for each and every sequence. For example, let's say in example of a tax, if you, let's say we have the tax, and tax has to be varied for each and every number, so that cannot be done in formula. We have to do it in the routine part. Now here we have formula, and constant, in the constant we have this, we are giving some value here, India, and let's say we don't have the field at all in the source system. In the source system there is no field called country, but in the target system we have a field called country, and for which we are writing this as India. So we can give it as a constant. There will be an option wherein you will not do any mapping, you directly give that value as constant, and that will be loaded into all the fields. This is what can happen in a constant. So I explained about this constant and formula, and we will get more clarity when we are doing the project, because in the project I am going to consume these things, I'm going to implement these things in the project, so you'll get more clarity. This is just a theoretical part where I'm explaining what exactly is a constant, what is a formula. Okay, so that's it from the constant and routine part. I will give you more examples in the coming. Anyways, we'll be doing the project, so it will be clear in that context about the constant and the formula. and the routine part. I'll make it more clear. So here on the top, you can see the reporting tools. These are the reporting tools that we have, in which we are going to present the data to the decision makers. So we just show this data. The managers or the senior most level administration people will be seeing this data in the reporting, and then they'll be evaluating the data. Okay, so this is a staging engine, and initially when we have a first look at this architecture, it looks like a circuit diagram. But when we understand the ETL process and then come and understand this, it will be very simple. Like, and this red color, whatever we have are the technologies that we are using to connect between the system and the applications. We have BAPI file XML database, XML ODB, BAPI, and all those things. So in this architecture that we see on the screen, please let me know if you have anything that needs to be repeated or not, that needs to be cleared. I'll clear it off and then move on to the next level. And before that, I just would like to tell you that there are certain things that we have to do the assignment. The assignment is the assignment for this one, ERP concept. What is ERP? We need to understand about the ERP, data warehousing, and then we have OLTP versus OLAP, which we have discussed in the in the previous session, and then we have this ETL process, and we need to understand the ETL process. What is master data and transaction data? Master data and transaction data. So these are the things that we have to just browse and get more information about. Yeah, I think that's it. And I just maybe it will take like this first class, second class, I'll collect all the email IDs, and just once it gets settled down, our batch gets settled and all, I'll the moment immediately after completing our session, you will be getting the link for the recording, so you can download them and listen to that. And by the next session we can get more questions, which I can clear it off and then start with the new topic. So I'll also share this particular document. I'm showing it to you. I'll also share this document as well, so that you can go through that and get more understanding about it. So I'm sure every one of us might not be clear with every step of it, every concept. There might be something which we might skip. It's very common for every one of us. So maybe when I keep doing it repeatedly, when I keep doing the projects, we slowly and gradually get the clarity on each and every concept. Because even for me, if I'm learning something new, it will take some time to absorb the things and get that get the clarity on it. So basically this is what we are doing. So we basically do the modeling, extraction, and reporting. So modeling is like building up the cubes, DSOs, and all these things. We have the extraction and reporting.
So Vikram, can you share the assignment in this WhatsApp at least, so that we'll get to know what we need to practice? Means at least to collect the data from Google.
Yeah, I'll do that in WhatsApp. So going forward, what I'll do is like I'll make a group of us and all the mail IDs. So that like and initially these are the basics. So we are just listening. I mean, like just this is one way kind of interaction. Later we'll have more interaction between us, and we'll really have fun when we are getting the data, when we are doing the projects, the live projects. So it'll be like fun. Okay. Things are slightly, a bit kind of maybe kind of boring because these are the theoretical concepts. సో థియరిటికల్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ అనేవి మనము ఒకసారి ఇంకా ఎంత డెప్త్ కావాలంటే కొంతమందికి చాలా ఇష్టము థియరిటికల్ కాన్సెప్ట్ చాలా ఎక్కువ కావాలనేది చాలా ఇష్టం.